What's up, everybody? On a podcast now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about PlayStation's first-party strategy. This was part of, we got a lot of info a couple days ago of, PS6 is at the front of their mind and all this other jazz. Great to see after the generation we've just had. So let's just jump into what specifically they said, and then I'll talk about it. I'll start off just by teasing it that I'm not really pleased. At the same time, though, they kind of are in the situation that they are in. So Genki says, when it comes to PlayStation single-player titles, Herman Hulse says PlayStation are focused on delivering at least one tentpole title each year. On single player, we are focused on consistently delivering at least one tentpole title per year at the right time in the year and at the right quality level, which players have come to expect from PlayStation Studios. Now, flat out, that is just not good enough. That's exactly, I think, my words on Twitter, and I'll say it here too. I'm not diminishing. I want to try to make sure you guys are understanding what I'm saying here. I'm not saying their games are pure trash. Right now, they've made some horrific mistakes. Concord actually is kind of pure trash. Marathon, we'll see, fair game. So I guess one of the issues is when you say there's one a year. I guess because this year you got Death Stranding, you got Ghost of Yotei, and then you also have Marathon in there. So Marathon's there, but if you kind of squint your eyes and just pretend like it's not there, you kind of got two. Technically, you got three though, right? But I mean, that's another thing though, because what I just listed is not technically all first-party games, right? Death Stranding 2 doesn't count because it's Kojima. So I mean, right there is kind of that wiggle room, and it's kind of the idea that maybe they are under-promising and over-delivering, right? They're saying, okay, look, we're going to do, and I mean, they do say at least one, right? So there could be two, there could be three. Now, they posted, another thing that kind of came out with all of this is they posted those pictures, one game a year, and that's what they kind of showed from, I believe, 2022 up till now, and they showed Intergalactic and Wolverine in terms of future games. Now, the thing is, Wolverine, that might be their next year's big thing. In fact, that probably is the only thing they got, that at least that we can kind of speculate, because Blue Point, years away. Bend, years away. Intergalactic, I don't think is next year. Okay, so I really think you can kind of pre-plan and say 2026 is Wolverine, 27 is Intergalactic, maybe Corey Barlog's game can kind of double dip, one of those 2 years, and you kind of go from there. But it's not good enough, because there is still competition in this world, okay? And it's not to make it console wars, but you want competition, you want other publishers and other systems to push you. And in fact, in this same thing, they talked about the Switch, and investors sounded kind of concerned about the Switch 2 maybe eating up younger demographics. So there is competition, and okay, let's talk a little bit about that competition. Xbox has wiped the floor with this kind of situation for the last couple years, and for the next couple years, easily. Now, is it a little unfair? Well, they got more than double, maybe even close to triple, the studios that PlayStation has. So when you got 3 times the studios, you should be producing 3 times the games, hence why they can release 3 games a year versus PlayStation's 1. What about the Switch 2, right? That just came out. You got Mario Kart World, the ultimate system seller, in my opinion. You look at just how popular Mario Kart is. You got Donkey Kong coming out. You got Metroid coming out. You got Pokemon coming out. That is an insane, if you think about it, I know right now Switch 2 is so polarizing, but just think about that. In the first 6 months, you'd have a Mario Kart game, which just think about that. Donkey Kong, Metroid, Pokemon. That's insane. That's an insane lineup. Versus PlayStation, I mean, PlayStation's not bad, especially this next little wave that we got because of Death Stranding. I think Death Stranding is going to be awesome. Ghost of Yotei should be awesome. And then Marathon. So not horrific, but you're falling behind. And you've really fallen behind this entire generation. Let's be real. Now, again, well, what are you supposed to do about the situation? Well, this is the other side of things, right? I think I'm okay. I think I'm in the right to say I feel that this strategy is one that's just not going to please many people. You tell people, yeah, you're going to get 1 game a year. That's not going to excite, that many people. On the other side of things, it's well, okay, we've already kind of touched upon it, but what do you expect them to do? Fair. If I got that comment, and that's why people really need to just watch the whole video before they open their mouths, you would know that I do understand that. Again, like I said with Xbox, you have having less studios in a day and age where a game takes 5 to 7 years, right there is killer. Right there hurts an entire generation. We've been living in that generation right now, okay? We've just lived it, and we're still about to live it, and we might still live it in PS6. But, that is truthfully, it's probably the biggest thing. The live service stuff, which we'll talk about in a second, That is huge, and that really was a killer for many reasons. But the base point of games taking 5 to 7 years, and by the way, not all games taking 5 to 7 years, but the quality and the high impact, whatever you want to call them, games that PlayStation makes, they take 5 to 7 years. Intergalactic is not a game you can get out in 3 years. Even these games from Bend and Bluepoint that they're just now starting, you'd want, in a perfect world, you'd want to say, okay, 3 years, get that thing out. Back in the day, Uncharted got a whole trilogy in 4 years? Like, unreal. Now, I guess, add some production time for Uncharted 1. They probably made Uncharted 1 through 3 in 7 or so years? Like that. So, okay. So 3 years should be good, but it's not. It's not good. 3 years is not enough anymore, and that's the industry. That's not even PlayStation. And then you have the live service stuff. It's really, they talk about these pillars, right? Or WB, I guess, is the pillar one that does that. But you think about these pillars of they don't have a lot of teams, and actually they've shut down more than they've gained in the last 10 years, right? They were on a buying spree in the early kind of 2010s, and they were doing well, and then they shut a bunch of them down. They got Bungie, net loss, okay? So you've lost teams. You have not as many teams as competition, but you also just don't have too many teams. Games take too long to make. You also destroyed probably 5 or so studios just because of live service. And I'm just talking first party teams and just talking the teams that we know. There are rumors of a Twisted Metal game that got canceled, all this stuff, but just what we know. You set Naughty Dog back, you set Bluepoint back, you set Ben back, you just keep going, right? You hurt these studios, and that takes the time, and that takes, okay, you didn't have too many studios in the first place. They spent 3-4 years working on these live service games that were canceled. So it all plays a part. It's why these same kind of talking points keep coming up, because they're all connected. Because of their past mistakes, and they're going for this or for that, you get to this part where you get one game, at least one game a year. But to be honest with you, that really is what it's looking like going back to the beginning. You think about next year, what do you have? What do you have definitively, or at least maybe you can try to will it into existence? You have Fair Game Money Symbol, or Fair Games, and then you hopefully have Wolverine, right? Now, maybe you have one or two smaller ones, but what? What really could you have? Maybe the Horizon multiplayer, okay? So it's all right, that's okay. But look at Xbox, they can just go to competition, or we don't really know Nintendo as of yet, but say Xbox, right? Fable, Gears, right there alone, okay? That is a really good 1 and 2. Wolverine is not even a guarantee to come out next year. Fair Games is laughable, right? And it's and then you're just wishing on a star, for the other one. So it's just, it flat out is not good enough, And by the way, in case somebody again opens their mouth and says, well, what would you, want? Just give me 2 or 3, because back in the day, you think about, 2009, 2010, 2011, some of the golden years, but, give me a couple of these games every year. To do one, look, okay, console generations are 7 to 8 years. So you're telling people right now that line, or that statement, is 1 a year. So 7-8 years of PS5, you're going to get 7 or 8 tentpole titles. And by the way, I don't know, my own personal opinion, Spider-Man 2 is, in a lot of ways it's better than 1, but then in a lot of ways it's not better than 1. So did we really get, the greatest Spider-Man game of all time in Spider-Man 2? I'd probably argue no. And so then that was your big release for an entire year. Horizon Forbidden West, I think Zero Dawn made a bigger impact on people than Forbidden West did. So, okay, what do we do there? God of War Ragnarok. There's been comparisons for years of Ragnarok versus 2018. I think most people would take 2018. So I'm not saying they're trash. In fact, all of those are good. Returnal, by the way, wasn't even on their own list. When they showed all the pictures, Returnal, I think, was a year too early, right? Ratchet and Clank was a year too early. We did get games, but not too many of them. And some of them, you could argue, are not as good as the ones that came before it. So your 1 a year thing limits the amount of games that you have, and then also compared to what we did get, I don't know if they're necessarily better. So it's just, again, I would just go back to it. I'm not in control there, I'm not in command, but it's not good enough. You really need to try to do more than that, and their more than that is third party stuff, right? That's the okay, how do they make it work? What do people that are defending this, what do they say? They go third party, and That's fair, but I mean, I think third party's really going away. Like it's scary for them because I want to say scary thing. It's really only scary if you're PlayStation. I think for a lot of people they would prefer like the Black Myth Wukongs, right? I still don't believe that was PlayStation like bought thing, but you got Black Myth for a whole year because they didn't understand how to do the Series S or whatever that situation. Stellar Blade, okay, you did get some stuff, and historically in this PS5 gen, Final Fantasy, etc., etc. I think a lot of that stuff is going away, though. Like, I don't think you're going to get more Final Fantasies. Stellar Blade 2 is not a slam dunk. Years in the past, you got, like, Kena Bridge of Spirits. That was kind of a more indie, but that was a PlayStation console exclusive. I don't know if you'd ever get that again, right? So it's like a lot of these going third party. Konami with Silent Hill. Like, I don't know if you would get Silent Hill 1. So, just being exclusive. And I mean, if that's what they do to supplement these things, and then you don't get those anymore, what do you have? You have a console that doesn't get a lot of releases, every year, which is literally what they just said. So that's where I stand on it. You let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.